Hello and welcome to So You Think You're Awake, episode 101 or 3 on YouTube. Thanks to everybody who sent in your dreams. Please continue to do so. It's absolutely great to get them. I know I've got a lot of dreams and I probably haven't done yours, but I do some outside the show as well, even just little snippets of them. So be aware of that. Anyway, just want to remind you, the show is on YouTube. If you're listening on Google Play or Apple Podcasts, it's really designed for YouTube because there's video clues there as well. Please do subscribe on YouTube. I need to get the number of subscribers up. Ever since my mom stopped listening to the show, the number of views has kind of plateaued, so I'd like to get that fixed. That's it. Tell your friends. Yeah, that would be good. If you enjoy the show, tell your friends and share the links. So we have one question. It's kind of a sneaky question because it's really a dream. And the woman says, does anyone know what baby animals represent? Well, I do. I.e. kittens, puppies, baby deer, etc. Are they simply a childhood indicator but represent what their adult counterparts mean? She says, last night I saw tiny white kittens and held a baby deer. The dream itself was validating a new practice I'm working on, giving myself the love that was missing within the first few days of life after birth. Well, you've said it yourself. Babies and dreams, baby animals represent you as a child, and then whatever a particular animal would represent in reality or symbolically in a dream would also match. So kittens symbolize digestive system problems, cats and kittens. So this says that it comes from that time. Now there's other things that they can represent too, but in your case that is what they represent. So with you holding the baby kittens, it's you trying to heal that issue that comes from childhood with love. And in fact, holding the baby deer is really great because that's symbolically you telling your childhood self, you are dear to me, and a pun and everything in it, but that's really good. So questions out of the way. Let's have a look at some dreams. Now, I had this dream ready for last week and I didn't get to it because we ran out of time, and I'm going to do it, but this is one of those where everybody's going to think I'm the reincarnation of Freud because of what I say this dream is going to be about. And of course, not true at all. We don't get many of these dreams. There's not many dreams of a sexual nature. But basically, the premise of this dream, the start of it, is that the dreamer's ex wants her to be available to make cookies for him at the drop of a hat all the time. So if you can't figure out what that's about, I always remember my mentor, George Radigan, used to say the interpretation leaps off the page at you, and this is one of those it does, and you're like, oh, I wish it wasn't that. But it is. So let's have a look at the dream. My ex was like some weird drug lord. Well, let's key the dream up. So my ex was like some weird drug lord, and I'm trying to get the things working on the screen here. So he wants me to make cookies. Now, drug lord should have lit up there, and you think I tested these things before the show. So make cookies, we know what that's about. You make cookies in an oven. When you're pregnant, the expression is having a bun in the oven. So making cookies here in this dream is about having sex or being available for sex. And I found out he wanted me to make cookies, and I found out it was so they could be dropped off as part of a big arrangement in a larger plan. So this is interesting. So it's saying, okay, this is something obviously that bothered you about this ex, the fact that he made you feel obliged to have sex. But the dream is saying there's a bigger purpose to this. So you dealing with this issue is important because it's going to help you with something else. And that's really good to know. And of course, that's true with almost anything. The things that really bug us in life, it's not like, oh my God, my life would be great if I didn't have this. I'd have no issues whatsoever, and I would be the best channel ever if I didn't have these other things that hold me back. It's the things that you need to deal with are part of what your life plan is. So you have to deal with them in order to grow. So I say that all the time, but just to remind. So they're part of a bigger plan. Like cookies were payment for someone else who was doing something else. He snapped at me when I didn't have cookies, and I snapped/joked back, who has cookies ready all the time? I'm not the type who just always has cookies ready to go. Okay, so that's you standing your ground. He lightened up. I remember seeing a bunch. Okay, so it continues on there. So it seems like a disconnect. This part of the dream then goes into, he lightened up. I remember seeing a bunch of small stones that were all different colors and ready to go. So we know what the first part is about. So the small stones represent karma in dreams. Quite often they represent karma. Small is good, the fact that they're karma. So this isn't a big thing. And that would mean that you've done stuff, you've done work on this issue already. They were all different colors. Purple stands out. So purple as a color represents spiritual leadership. It's the color of the crown chakra before enlightenment. So symbolizes that. So you've got that as one of your abilities. So then it's saying, okay, so you need to deal with these sexual issues in order to improve your spiritual leadership skill. And why? Of course, sexual identity is part of who you are. You can't just suppress one aspect of yourself. So you suppress that, you suppress everything. So you have to get to a point where you're not suppressing yourself sexually. And even if it's because other people trigger you the wrong way. So you've got to get to that point, and that's going to help you. But they were very color-wise. He was dealing them. So dealing them is another symbol for karma. What fate has karma dealt you, kind of thing. Dealing cards in a deck would be about karma as well. And I wondered why, since he's not the type to feel them anyway. I, however, can feel stone energy. I remember seeing inside a house through a big glass back door window. So this is another one of your abilities. You have a strong intuition. That's a connection with your higher self. And because you're seeing through a back door window, it means you had this connection right at the start of life, and you've got to deal with issues from back then in order to bring it back, make it stronger. There was a computer screen on a counter. So anything on a counter is something you're responsible for. It's like if I said, this you're accountable for is a pun, but even if I was to say this is what's on the table for you. So the dream is putting it on a table, but it's a higher table. So this is part of your higher purpose. So computer screen on a counter being used to watch shows. I thought about getting a big TV for it instead, and you should have, but wondered if it would be too big, so you didn't get it. So the big TV is saying, use clairvoyance. So there's something where you're able to get away with being logical, and that's what the computer screen represents. Computers are logical, we program them, they follow the logic code that we put into them. But you're to stop following logic, and you're to start using your intuition, your connection with your higher self, and your clairvoyant channeling ability, which is what the big TV screen represents. So the fact that it's big TV is good. It's showing that this gift is very strong. But of course you don't get it, and that's a pity. You decide not to do it. I heard the baby crying in a car outside. You say the baby, just suddenly shows up here. She was in the back seat. My oldest daughter and I think my partner were in there, my ex that is, parked. I grabbed the baby to take her inside. Okay, so what is a baby? Baby crying in the back seat. So this is again the past. So we know from the back door it's about the past. But the baby crying is, you've got to deal with the baby. The baby represents your responsibility, as well as it being you in your childhood. So it's your responsibility to deal with this. So quite often we think, okay, if this didn't happen to me, I'd be fine. It's my parents' fault, or it's the upbringing I got, etc., etc. All excuses. You get to a sense of self, point of empowerment, and now is the time for you to take responsibility and do something about this yourself. And that's perfect. The ex was asleep in the parked car. You also say your oldest daughter was asleep there too. So again, it's time for you to wake up. And that's good in a dream. Waking up is good in a dream. Seeing that the baby was asleep, well, the baby's crying, but these other two people are asleep. These are showing you that the effects, the impacts of the partner, and indeed you're saying that the car was parked, so that's saying the relationship is going nowhere. So this is holding you back. Indeed, it is holding you back. So you need to do something to get out of that or improve it. And then you say they were sleeping, waiting for you. That's good. Waiting for you is good. I grabbed the baby to take her inside, and that's perfect. So that's a good end to the dream. And even though at the start of the dream you don't say that this is actually your house or anything like that, but So anyway, that's it. Dealt with now, so I don't have to feel like, oh gosh, this dream's coming up again. So let's move on. Let's have a look at another one. Did I make any notes? No. Oh yeah, I did ask the dreamer beforehand to say what is it about sexual activity or the obligation put on by the partner that makes it an issue for her. But I was trying to get to exactly what it is, because the dream definitely, like with the small stones, we know it's a simple thing. It's a very simple thing. And it's almost like if I could just put my finger on it, that's it, I've dealt with it. I don't really need to worry about it anymore. And she says, yes, I'm uncomfortable exuding any kind of passion in front of an audience because I don't want them to be attracted or judge me. Captivating an audience with anything other than voice being cut off from the body intimidates me to oblivion. I get super embarrassed. Okay, so it's kind of interesting because I had said to her, look, you're really good looking, so this will help you, you know, promote yourself and so on. And I've seen this before where good looks aren't necessarily helping somebody straight off because they have issues with the fact that they're good looking because of the type of people they've attracted. So that's what you got to deal with. So let's move on and see if we can lose a subscriber by looking at this dream. This dream's called Windows All Gone, and starts off, I'm going to school where I do not know very many people. I have an assignment. So school is to do about learning about yourself with a view to improving yourself, and that's good. It's usually going to be a dream about your higher perspective, your spiritual abilities and so on. I have an assignment is, okay, so you have something to do. So why does the dream say you have an assignment? Do you think that you're finished with doing everything you need to do in your life? And the dreamer's 69. And some of us can get to a point where we think, okay, I've done everything I need to do. You know, I've written the book, I've whatever, and now I'm retired. But it doesn't quite work like that. So anyway, the dream is saying, no, you still have stuff to do. Then you say, a young boy friend who I was hoping to be with, but this boy is very unruly and destructive and has an inclination to destroy property and has done so once before to school property, but without measures taken. So the young boyfriend, this is about your male side because it's a boyfriend, and he's unruly and destructive. So what is male side to do? We look at, like it's generally to do with confidence, belief in yourself and so on and so on. But here, if we're looking for the negatives, we've got to say then it's got to be something like about deciding, because thoughts are also indicated by men in dreams. So deciding that, being destructive by thinking about something or overthinking about it and deciding you don't need to do it. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's along those lines. Anyway, he's destructive and he's done it before. That's a hint that you've done this in a past life. So dealing with this in this lifetime, overcoming this, like not doing something, is going to be doubly beneficial for you. So the boy and I are still on our next learning, scheduled learning session. So yeah, you have these scheduled. So lessons are scheduled. It's the sequence of them, you know, that helps us get to awareness. We tend to think, me included, we tend to think that when we've dealt with issues in life that, you know, we've learned, we move on and we go, okay, I've done everything I need to do. But we can have the same issues in a couple of lifetimes connected with different things. And everything's going to help us. It's all like filling in pieces of the jigsaw puzzle so that when everything is ultimately done, our level of awareness is, you know, it's not really a clinical measure, but typically around 90%. Then we no longer need to come back to the earth plane anymore. Anyway, you've got something scheduled. So again, emphasis on the fact that you have something planned. It's scheduled. It's on the books for you. And again, I'm saying because the dream has pointed this out twice now, it's definitely saying you have something to do. Don't be thinking you're finished. However, the boy, so here's where it starts getting bad. The boy takes a hammer to the interior of a very, very large school meeting hall whose all four sides are lined with many, many windows and much fine detail work. Okay, so we know your ability then. The windows and the fine detail work say that you've got a really strong intuition. You know, if you can imagine this building, the way I imagine it is just an enormous amount of windows, a tremendous sight. So you've got a very strong intuition, and that's what you're meant to be using in order to get you to this next level. But you say, and all the fine detail work. So you're able to get amazing detail through intuition. And that's good. But you say the boy takes a hammer, that's what you said at the start, and he shatters each and every one of the windows and the detail work causing extensive damage. So this is saying your male side is holding you back. Now dreams exaggerate, so it's not like, oh, this is done, it's a done deal, you're screwed now, you can't ever recover from this. Never the case. It's just showing you by exaggeration what you're doing and separating male and female side, because intuition is female side. So it's saying that's what you have to do, something using just your female side. So let go of the big brain, stop thinking about things, and work on them through intuition predominantly. Anyway, you say the boy will not be allowed to progress to the next assignment and will be dealt with somehow, which leaves me on my own. Now look at all these. Leaves me on my own to take off in a plane and go to the next assignment and learn on my own. I'm feeling lost about this, thinking I'm supposed to have a partner, but I'm thinking maybe not. I'm totally on my own now. So this whole emphasis of I'm on my own, I'm on my own, I'm on my own, huge in this part of the dream. So this is obviously something that you are going to have to do on your own, and that's one of your issues, but this is obviously something that you're meant to work through. And I moved to the bottom, the take off on a plane. So this is about taking off on a plane is taking off on a new project or starting a new project, and it's always good in a dream. So it's good for you to get there. So positive. I mean, so we have lots of positives, even though we have negatives in this dream. So then we say, in a quiet moment, I find a piano and play a simple piece. So here we go. So we had your intuition before, and then we have quiet moment, which is obviously the opposite of thinking and thinking and thinking. I find a piano and play a simple piece. And then you say, people gather around me to listen. So the piano is about channeling. So it's saying that you are meant to develop your channeling ability, and you're to develop it to a point where people listen to you. But then we go back to some negatives here, and this is really positive. So we have intuition and we have the channeling. The piano means that, by the way, because music in dreams and musical instruments represent channeling. Music comes from the spirit world, just like channeled messages. Anyway, you say before people gather around to me to listen before I have learned the piece and polished it up. Okay, so you want to be practiced, get everything perfect, and then you say it's not my time to be performing. Well, of course it is, because it's in the dream, and you hope they understand that what they hear now is not what they're going to be hearing later on. So you're saying that you hope they understand that. So you're concerned about what other people think. And I can guarantee you that everybody who develops their spiritual abilities feels they're not ready at some point. It's just par for the course. But we still have to do it, because by developing them and using them, when we feel kind of vulnerable, that's when we're going to learn most about ourselves. And if we don't develop them and we don't put ourselves out there in front of other people, then we're kind of in trouble, because we're not going to get to the next level of what it is we need to do. So be less destructive with your thoughts. And anyway, so what I wanted to mention here, a close friend and a close friend of mine, Jamie, whom I love dearly. She could never discover what her life purpose was, and she would have dreams, and when she would recognize a guide in her dreams, she would ask them, what's my life purpose? And they would immediately hit the eject switch and her dream would be over. And she hated that. And this went on for years and years and years. And I used to joke with her, saying, if I ever have a bad dream, I have a nightmare and I need to get out of it, I'm going to ask a guide what your life purpose is, because then the dream's obviously going to end. And she's channeled on it, and we've channeled on it, and we could never get what her life purpose was. And then I had a smart, or so I thought at the time, smart idea to tune into her energy field and get what her life purpose was from her energy field. And I got it. And before I said it to her, my guide said, don't tell her, don't tell her. And the reason was that she came here to learn to do what she had planned. She wanted to achieve her life purpose without realizing her level of awareness and sticking with her plan, even in a state of confusion, and getting to the end goal despite the confusion. And so that's what she wanted in her life. And her guides were giving her that, making sure that she didn't know and that she did stay confused. So it's obviously easy if you're told, hey, at the end of it all, this is what you're going to end up doing. But your guides don't always want you to do it that way. They want you to discover it in a state of confusion. And sometimes, like in my friend's case, she wanted to do it that way too. And there's obvious reasons for that. She helps other people achieve their life purpose. And by doing it in a state of confusion herself, she will understand what it's like for other people to have to do it in a state of confusion, and therefore has empathy. So there's lots of reasons for it. So lots of reasons. I say that because I think it's the same with you. There's reasons for it coming in the way it's come for you. And we've just got to trust that it's all going to make sense ultimately. So that's that one. And I hope my subscriber count hasn't gone down by one as a result of doing that analysis. So this next dream is called Birthday. And it's from Teresa. Am I right? Yes. So Teresa says, I dreamt it was my birthday, and and two of my friends were going to put together a small dinner party for me. So birthdays and dreams are usually going to be about they are about your birth, but they're going to be about your life purpose, because that's a very much in our focus when we're born. And the party for you is about celebration for you coming here to achieve your life purpose. It's all about life purpose. Nothing else is really important. Now, the only negative there is you say it's a small party for me. So you're not celebrating your life purpose the way your guides would like you. They want it to be a big party. So anyway, here's what's interesting. What are your abilities, Teresa? You've often seen me many times saying 2 in dreams is very common for somebody who's a channel. And what she already said, that 2 of her friends were there. Then she says, there was so much food to prepare that we broke it up into 2 pans on 2 different stoves, and the 2s continue on. So we know channeling, we expect channeling to show up. And if it didn't show up in any other way, all these 2s are enough to say channeling is one of your things. But it continues on anyway. 2 different stoves, and planned to mix it all into 1 pan. When it was done, I took over 1 pan, and someone else, a male I don't know in waking life, took over the other. So we have a male and a female, another channeling thing. Again, 2, a couple. It turns out that each pan took on a different flavor. So we have 2 flavors. So we decided not to mix them, but just serve 2 separate dishes. So again, 2, 2, 2, 2. So channeling is one of those things that requires male and female energy working in harmony. So in the last dream, for instance, we know that we need to balance the male side because it's holding us back, because it's needed for channeling. Anyway, his had green curry in it, and mine had a stir fry. The green curry was shown in a close-up. At this time, my friend Elizabeth handed me a present. And I put an exclamation mark there myself, because why did Elizabeth hand you a present? And that's a calling card for a guide. So I wrote to her and I asked, tell me about Elizabeth, because I didn't want to just blurt out, oh, Elizabeth's a guide, did you know that? And what she wrote back is interesting. So I asked her, what are the positive traits of Elizabeth? And she said, Elizabeth, I've always thought she was a guide visiting Earth. Very good. First word is that she is so positive. She is compassionate, empathic, quirky, sense of humor, fun. She's also psychic and doesn't realize it. She sees connections between things without knowing how she knows. She owns a winery and is very sensitive to the various spirits that visit the place. By the way, glad you're doing the show again. And she wrote lots of other nice things about the show, myself, Heidi and Susan, and thank you for that, Teresa. So anyway, you already know she's a guide. So she's always in your dreams. She's always going to be a guide. And she's going to tell you what you need to do. So guides, one of the things they do is they try help you to discover your spiritual gifts. So they hand you a gift in the dream. And why? Because, and it's usually wrapped, because they want you to open your gifts, discover them. And that's, so what does she give? She handed me a present that she'd wrapped in a cylinder-shaped container. So a cylinder is another symbol for channeling. You can see these in my book, How to Interpret Your Dreams. Wrote it in 2007. It's quite an extensive dictionary in it. So cylinder, because it's open at both ends, a channel is somebody who's open at both ends. They have they're conscious in the spirit world and conscious in the physical world. So have a foot in both worlds. So a cylinder is a common symbol for channeling. In it were 2 pairs of glasses. So here we go with the 2s again. It's hilarious, really, isn't it? 2 pairs of glasses. So we know because of the glasses that clairvoyance is one of your abilities. You had to assemble them yourself. They each had 2 lenses with frames around them. Okay, so the 2 lenses again, so more 2s. And you have to assemble them yourself. So you have to unwrap this and put them together yourself. So you have to build and develop this ability yourself. And that's fine. Now, I do remember, if you're the right Teresa, you gave a dream before where you had an Indian man sitting on top of a mountain with a huge glass window behind him. So you say your friend Elizabeth sees connections and doesn't even know she sees them. So I think you've got that too, because the native Indian guy, especially when he's a guide in a dream, like he was in your dreams, they're very in touch with things and see connections that we've lost the ability to see. So you've got that. So you have a strong intuition and you have this strong channeling ability as well. But you got to work on it, put it together yourself. And then what else do you say? You had to assemble them yourself. Okay, that's fine. The frames were different styles, so we have 2 styles. And she said she wasn't sure which I would prefer. I liked both. I'm looking to see, did I skip anything? I feel like I skipped something. I liked both quite a lot, so I asked if I could keep both of them, and that's really good. So you did like both. So this is typically not what happens in a dream, where we see what our ability is and we go, oh, I don't want to do this. But here in this dream, you see what your ability is and you like it and you want to keep it, and that's really good. So she shows you what your gift is, you unwrap it, you open it up basically. So you're meant to open your ability and use it. Now the earpieces, that's what I had skipped. So the earpieces say that you also have clairvoyance. So you have 2 styles of channeling, clairvoyance and clairaudience. So there we go. Now you also say, the mood throughout was upbeat. This is a comment. The green curry may pertain to a question I'd had the previous day regarding using more turmeric, which contains curcumin, as does curry, to help reduce pain and swelling from fibromyalgia. And I channeled on that and they say, yes, your guides say, yes, do indeed do that. And they also told me about a doctor friend of mine who works with rheumatism. And I know fibromyalgia is not really rheumatism. It doesn't fit right into that box. But he's worked with patients of his specifically using a new herbal remedy for that. So I'm going to send you the details to get in touch with him. I don't know if it's something you can buy over the counter or not. So that's why I'll pass you through to the doctor. Anyway, really good. Start channeling. Teresa, that's what you're meant to do. Okay, I'm going to do this last one anyway, even though our time is a little bit short. And this one's called Detained. And she says, in my dream, I somehow get detained by the military. They are keeping me on a marine base. Okay, so even though you're detained by the military, they're on a marine base. So that's good. Marine is, of course, to do with the water. So we know it's to do with your spiritual side. In fact, I didn't even realize that the theme for this week's show is all spiritual side. So marine base to interrogate me, and I can't contact my partner to let him know that I'm okay. Officers are asking me questions. So we know it's officers. So we know officers are guides because they have a title. So we know it's a positive side to the military. So I will often say military can be about being regimented and rigid in your thinking. So it's not that here. So the officers are asking you questions about conspiracy theories and my involvement. I'm not quite sure what they are upset about, as I didn't think it was against the law to research weird phenomena. Okay, so your guides are upset with you because you're doing something that they don't want you to do. And I had to channel on this, and I got a bit of help from Heidi on this one too. And it's not that what you're doing is a problem, it's just that it's not part of your life purpose. So you told me that you're channeling a group called the Third Council of Light, and believe it or not, you are one of them. So there's no need for you to channel those people. You're meant to be channeling for other people. You're also here to keep balance on the earth plane when that balance is wrecked. Read between the lines. So that's what your purpose is. And if you stick with channeling the Third Council of Light, then you're not going to develop yourself in the direction that you need to develop yourself. And of course you could do that. It's connected with your partner because he's probably the one pushes you to connect with the third council of light. So realize, because you're one of them, when you channel for ordinary people, do ordinary channeling sessions, you're automatically getting the type of information you get from the third council of light. Now, also interestingly, in the channeling, they said that when you connect with the third council of light and ask them, am I correct? They're going to say no, because they like they like you connecting with them, and they would like you to pursue their agenda, but their agenda is not your agenda. Think about it, they're close family, they all love you, but if you have 3 sisters, each sister will want you to do something different with your life. It's not that they don't love you, but they have a plan and they think they know better. Your higher self, though, comes into this dream and says, no, I have the ultimate say, which of course it does. Remember, your higher self can pull the plug. Nobody else can. So definitely has the say. Anyway, you say, I'm scared that I will be held indefinitely and that no one will know where I am. When I'm not being questioned, I'm kept in a barracks on an upper floor. There's a small balcony that faces a wooded area. I'm not sure where I am geographically. Okay, so not being sure where you are, that's really a clue in the dream. It's saying, look, you need to discover where you are. Find yourself on the map. Maps are about discovering where you are so that you can, once you know where you are, you can easily work out where you need to go. So you're not sure where you are. And I added this, I need to get where I need to be. That's what we all need to do. So that's what you need to do. You need to be focusing on what you need to be doing. And that's why your guides are trying to hold you up and saying, look, connecting and only doing this third council of light thing is going to hold you up and it will detain you. But it's not what you're here for. And take my word for it, or don't. You can channel. Anyway, so what happens then? You're on an upper floor, so we know that's higher perspective, small balcony. You say, I'm not sure where I am. So from this higher perspective, so this is where we go. From this higher perspective, I start scanning the area outside for clues. I notice a pillar of white light that is moving through the trees. At first, I am stunned and curious about the light, wondering if it might be elemental spirits, guardians of the land. I am surprised when it turns towards me. Once it reaches me, the white light envelops me and I feel a very strong vibration through my entire body, which is accompanied by a loud humming noise. Now, so that's really, really good. So this white light coming is your higher self. You're at the point where your higher self is ready to connect with you. That doesn't happen to many people, so this is really good. Because that's a huge gamble. When we come here, we only bring a few aspects of ourselves, so that if we completely mess up in life, we, it's like at a casino, we only place a small bet, we don't place all our money. When your higher self connects with you, everything is in play, all bets are in play. But that doesn't happen until your higher self knows that there's no risk of you taking a wrong turn. So your higher self is saying, look, this is what we want to do. You can see things from a higher perspective. I slightly reworded what you said. You can see things from a higher perspective. You can see this white light coming. The guardians of the land, well, it's not that elemental spirits are coming. It's about you. You're a guardian of the land. In the dream, you see yourself as a guardian of the land, or wonder, is that what's coming? But it is you. And because it's you, that's what your ability is. So that's why I said you're here to restore balance to the earth plane when it's lost. And the strong vibration, that's really good. I know this feeling and I know this light myself, so it can be very scary actually. Even if you're saying I'm ready for it, it can feel very scary. Anyway, you're surprised when it turns towards you, don't be. And this continues on then. You say, I start to wonder if this is a military tool designed to read my mind. I start to panic and I call in my spiritual protection, and that's okay to do in a dream. The strength of the vibration makes me pass out. When I wake up, still in my dream, I realize that I'm in a bed. And the first thing I see through my blurry eyes is a woman lying next to me. And I corrected your grammar there, you wrote laying. Funny joking. Common American thing. She is wearing a silver bracelet on her left arm. Okay, so is she positive? Well, she came from the light. She has to be positive. There's no way she isn't. But you're suspicious. Stop being suspicious. And of course, being in a bed is about your higher self again, or your higher perspective, because when we sleep, our soul leaves our body. We get back in touch with what we're here for, and so on and so on. So beds when it's not your regular bed in your bedroom, and this isn't, or like this. And she has a silver bracelet on her left hand. So it's, again, intuition. Connection with the higher self works through intuition. So that's what the silver bracelet is about. And the left arm also emphasizes that this is female side that you should be using. So don't be suspicious, but of course you are. So you need to drop that suspicion. And you mentioned your ex, I don't know why I said ex, and I wrote ex here. You mentioned your partner. Is your partner a very suspicious person? If he is, realize your suspicion is not yours, it's his suspicion. Drop the suspicion. From this dream, I wouldn't have thought that you were a suspicious person yourself because you have a strong connection. Anyway, you say, you panic and you sit up gasping, where am I? Who are you? The woman says that we are friends from school. So again, this is really good, friends from school, and seems surprised that I don't remember her, that I don't recognize her at all. So I wonder if she is also from the military, posing as an old friend so she can spy on me just in case I act like I remember her, hoping that if I play along, I will be able to contact my husband and let him know I'm okay. Okay, don't do that. So this is your higher self. You don't recognize it because of the work you're doing. You're connecting with the wrong things. So connect with your higher self. Develop that connection back, which you can do. And that's what this part of the dream is saying. Nobody's spying on you. Your higher self wouldn't spy on you. Your higher self knows absolutely everything about everything you're doing, everything anybody who's ever interacted with you has said, felt, etc., what their motives are, what your guides are saying. They're clued in. Your higher self is clued into everything. Doesn't need to spy. You then say you're going to pretend that you know or play along. I ask her why we are in the same bed and did anything happen between us. She laughs and says, no, but you were very drunk last night and I was trying to keep you safe. Now, remember you said you had blurry eyes earlier in the dream. So the being drunk and the blurry eyes, they fit together. Of course, I'm suspicious of her story. Oh, would you stop with the suspicion? Because I don't remember being drunk. And of course, that's like saying, I don't remember when I don't remember. That's part of what not remembering is. So just realize that your higher self is coming in to wake you up and give you clarity of vision. And of course, being drunk is two things. It's about like an addiction to something. So something you need to let go of. And I know you're not a drinker, so it's not that. So it's symbolic for something else. So there's something you need to let go of that you're holding on to. And it could be this other connection. But also it desensitizes you to what it is you're meant to be doing. So you're meant to be really tuning into your higher self and being tuned into the earth plane. Of course, I'm suspicious of her story because I don't remember being drunk. I only remember being detained and then the white light enveloping me. So of course, is there any such thing as a negative thing coming from white light? No. I'm scared for my safety and I want to go home. So I tell her I have to go and she doesn't argue. For some reason, she takes me to a convenience store. So stores have to do with needs and responsibilities. So this is something you need to do. So your higher self is saying, and of course dreams come from your higher self, by the way. Takes me to a convenience store. So this is something you need to do, where I notice some very cute silver penguin earrings. So again, we have the silver. Please work on that, developing your intuition. But they're earrings. Earrings are saying you're clairaudient, so it's about how you hear your guides as well. And the penguin is a bird of the sea. So again, we know it's channeling and fits in with the marine base earlier on. Anyway, you want to buy them, but I don't because I'm more concerned about finding a way to call my husband. So, okay. So this is definitely, not buying them is bad. You should buy them in the dream. Visualize going back into this dream and buying them and putting them on. But you don't buy them because you want to call your husband. So it's not your husband's fault, but you're using things about your husband that is causing you to hold off from what it is you're meant to do. I searched the store for a payphone, so the payphone again, another connection with channeling, before I wake up. But I wake up before I find one. Okay, so you're here to keep balance on the earth plane is what I've added to that. Okay, so that's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Do subscribe and do share the videos with your friends if you like them. And I'm going to start adding, you may remember the old show, I used themes. I had a theme for each week, and I'm going to go back to that, but I've been spending all this time trying to set up the hardware, the equipment, and the recording studio, and get everything functioning properly there. So please do let me know, write a comment underneath saying what it is you'd like me to cover as a theme, and I will do that. So that's it for this week. Thanks very much for watching.